Welcome to Family Gamer TV. We're going to be looking at Skylanders SWAT Force on the PS4 here today, and we're going to be looking at Cascade Glade. Now in part 2 of this on PS4 we'll look at Winter's Keep, so let's get into the level. Now what we're seeing here is our very first look at the PS4 version of Skylanders SWAT Force. Now I thought what I'd do is record some audio for you while I'm seeing this for the first time, and so I mean even from the offset, looking at Glumshanks and Chaos here, it does look really good. It has that real Pixar quality film. Of course, this is in proper 1080p, that high resolution that we're used to seeing in our Pixar movies. If you're watching them on Blu-ray, or if you're downloading them, I see the level of detail there in the background. All the little minions working away on the whatever Chaos is building to cause havoc. So it's interesting to see sort of how it's constructed. I think just the level of detail, and also the sort of the quality of movement as well we're seeing on PlayStation 4 is a little bit greater. Of course, this is a cutscene, so I'm looking forward to seeing when this ends, we come to the gameplay proper, because of course any console currently could play a cutscene at 1080p, and that really wouldn't be hugely different whether it's on PS4, Xbox One or PS3 or Xbox 360. Where it's going to be seen the real difference is when we come to gameplay. So as this introduces us to another level of Skylanders SWAT Force, and as I say on PS4, when the gameplay starts we're going to be seeing the real quality difference between the different systems, and whether it's worth perhaps buying a PlayStation 4 to play SWAT Force. And as you can see, we're at Gamescom here, people wandering around the show getting their hands on Skylanders SWAT Force. But I thought we'd bring this to you if you weren't able to get down to Germany for the trade show. We could see this for you here. So again, heading more into this first level that we saw back at the launch of Skylanders SWAT Force in New York when they announced the game, and Eric Hirschberg sort of introduced this mix and match. So here we've got Flynn, but he's not with Callie, he's with somebody else. I'm sure you can let me know in the comments who that is, and we head down. As I said already, it looks, you know, the sort of quality you'd expect from a PlayStation 4 game, and certainly can hold its own. Now I can see we're getting down onto the ground now and getting towards gameplay, and we get to the moment where we see our first magic moment of placing a figure on the portal for PS4. Now who's it going to be? Again, you can see here I'm seeing, you know, that's much nicer, high resolution as we get Magna Charge into the game. And actually this does look really nice. The grass there in the foreground, I think that had just a lot more movement, and there's a sense that it's a much more tactile sort of experience as we're seeing the game rendered in more detail. See those blades of grass in the foreground and the sort of the ears of corn at the top. It certainly has upped the visuals as we come through this level, and just seeing how it looks. And the figure himself, there seems to be more detail. The sparks in Magna Charge's sort of base there are much greater. Now it's nice to see this level properly played using some telescopes there, a little bit like Super Mario 3D Land. You can zoom in. Now I wonder if they'll use the motion control element of the PlayStation 4 controller for that, or perhaps the little touchpad on the controller too. We've got some blocks to move, and we see the blocks rendered in more detail on all the consoles for SWAT Force. They have these faces on them. They don't look too happy about being involved in our platforming puzzle. Jumping across there, and of course, yeah, we're seeing jumping as we've seen in some of the other levels we've demoed. Now this block puzzle is going to have to be solved if he's going to progress. Now I think maybe there needs to be a bit of movement here. He's not quite got them in the right place. I suspect you have to go left onto that platform that's near us. So get our player on. Now I know that our journalist here hasn't played the game an awful lot, and so what you're seeing is someone who's sort of coming to it for the first time. So we've got a gate here. Ah, great. Yeah, so we saw this at E3. Now this is a new puzzle with Shock and Bolt, these two characters. You have to move them around the arena in this sort of set single screen space to solve puzzles, and they can get through different elements. You have to collect the Shock and the Bolt items, the little colour-coded electric shocks, and then get them to the end of the level. And then that means you've solved it. That was good. So he got 3 bolts in that. And again, you can see as those gates open, there's that real quality of sort of PS4 rendering as we head into another enemy. Magna Charge getting his gun out, rapid fire. I like the way he can do that. I've liked all the Skylanders who could do that ever since I discovered that to be able to shoot and press a button really quickly with trigger happy back on Skylanders Spyro's Adventure was a massive advantage. Again here, all this stuff in the foreground is much more detailed than I've seen on other platforms. So I think the PS4 and the Xbox One versions are looking pretty nice. Both not only in the resolution, because I think fair enough you could up the resolution to 1080p and after a while you won't notice that, but actually in the quality of rendering in terms of the objects in the area. So we skip on past that cutscene and we come up to this big bird that's been used to get around Skylands, and we're pressing on. Oh, I feel like maybe you've missed some stuff back there that we could have had in conversation, or just some things to pick up. But there you go, we're not the ones playing, so we'll go with it. Greeble Glunderbus. Now, I'd kind of like that text for these introductions to stay up a bit longer because I sort of miss it. But of course, in the game, you would have more, more chances because each time you encounter the enemies, you'll be introduced to them. Magna Charge, picking things up and throwing them around. A nice little charge-in attack there. You can see that bar above his head. I'm not sure what that is. So I think that's part of how much energy he's got in his magnet, and perhaps how much he can shoot. So again, that's another element to the game that I hadn't come across before looking at our journalists playing this at Gamescom. Nice big packet of seeds there, and this is what we're looking for in this level. We need 5 of these to progress, and it keeps track of that. And you can see we're in a, what is that symbol? I think it's a magic symbol at the bottom. And it's glowing, so it would suggest that's giving us a boost, but I don't think Magna Charge is a magic Skylander. I think he's tech. You can correct me again if I'm wrong. Collecting some money. It's, I think, since last time we looked at the playthrough of Winter's Keep, our player has got a bit more experience and seems to be a bit more into the whole Skylanders world, and is able to sort of progress a bit quicker. Again, you can see in this environment, not only have the blocks got faces on them that have been rendered, but actually there's a depth and a movement to those faces, so they're sort of rendered in 3D, and that's what we're seeing throughout. Is a lot of the elements of the game, which were just like a texture applied to a flat surface. On the PS4 and Xbox One, they're able to actually apply a proper 3D rendering of that element of the game, whether that's the cobbles on the street or whether that's the faces of these boxes. So let's press on. Now, what's this area over here on the right that's glowing up? Looks like you need to stand on it. Now, he hasn't touched it. I wonder what he's doing. So he's carrying on round, getting that block back in the right place. I think maybe it wasn't quite there. Deciding to switch Skylanders, perhaps that's what we need to do. So, live Skylander. Ah, Zulu. This is one of the new Skylanders that we met at Gamescom. Now, of course, he's a guy. I was a bit fooled at first because he had a little ponytail on top of his head. I thought maybe this was a female Skylander, and actually there's not that many females. We started with quite a bunch coming out with Roller Brawl and some of those new core Skylanders. And I thought maybe Zulu would be one as well. Here we are. He's gone back to that area that I was asking about earlier, and that's obviously the trigger to move on. You can see here the movement and the depth of rendering, so you can see things in the distance much more than you could, say, on the Wii version. That's going to be an interesting comparison, actually. Having seen the PS4, I'd like to go across and have a look at the Wii game and see how good a job Beenox have done at converting this sort of level of graphical detail and taking it to the Wii. Now, Disney Infinity on the Wii, there's a massive difference. So the Wii game is really quite a separate experience. As Zulu just conjures some of her animal helpers and causes havoc in this level. Look at that, flying everywhere. Yeah, so Disney Infinity on the Wii, it's only 1 player in the campaign mode, and obviously visually it's quite different. You can still play 2 players in the toy box, but it's really a different experience. A lot of the cutscenes aren't quite the same, and some of the interactions in the cutscenes that you have in Disney Infinity on the Xbox One and on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions, I should say, aren't there on the Wii. My kids have still had a good time with the Wii game, and they're really enjoying it, but I think for a more mature player you'd really miss that. So getting through these Skylanders, we're going to swap again. Now, can we guess who it's going to be from the element that pops up on the portal? Oh, it's a mix, so this is probably a Swap Force character that's been mixed and matched. So have we got, yes, Magna Charge's top and Rattle Shake's bottom, so that gives us a mix of tech and undead, I think. So here we are, we got a special bounce swap force zone, and because he had Rattle Shake's bottom, in this instance he could do it. So here now we have to bounce through these levels, and again you can see that on the PlayStation 4 the rendering is really nice. Although he seems to, and I think he's failed that level almost immediately, so he's come back out. So I'm interested with this bar above Magna Charge's head, and I think that is how fast you can shoot. And as I was saying, I really like the way that you could shoot really quickly with trigger happy, but of course that made him quite an overpowered character. It seems the way that they've done that, dealt with that here, is to include overheat mechanism. So as you shoot, you can see that's going up higher and higher. And then you see that he was sort of stunned for a moment and couldn't keep shooting. So there's a limit there to how much Magna Charge could shoot. Really interesting stuff. So here we are, a new enemy. It didn't catch their name. They've got like a spinning battery of shields right around them. Magna Charge made short work of that. He's on level 5, so he's just getting started. He's not hugely overpowered. So here's a dual element gate. You'd need Earth and you'd need Tech, and we don't have that. You could do that with the Swap Force characters, mixed and matched in that way, or you could do that with a two-player co-op game that's done in the same way as well. So we'll head over this bridge. Now there's an interesting door there over to the right. I'm not sure who that is. Is he tempted to go in? Yes, he is. And we're seeing one of these sort of side areas, a side quest area that's not essential to progressing through the level, but just gives you something else to do. And a whole load of money. Now, of course, if you're playing this in the home, you're going to be keen to collecting all the money. He's taking a bit of a shortcut there. I wonder what's down that series of levels. And at the top, we have a chest. So square, unlock it. And here we go, just a whole bunch of treasure. So that's worth doing there. So he's found 1 of 4 treasure chests in the level. I think that's quite good that it's signposting what you found. So sometimes waiting to the end of the level and realising you still had more to get. Sometimes I was a bit like, oh, shame I didn't know that sooner. I would have gone back and spent more time. So it's come out that door. It seems to have been a bit of a shortcut. So here we go, we got a shock and bolt moment to unlock this next door. So here you've got to get bolt and shock to their equivalent little lightning elements in the game, but you can switch between them so you can control it. So you can see there that bolt started next to shock's lightning element, and shock started next to bolt, so you have to get them to it. And I wonder if how quickly our player here is going to realise that. You need to get that button down, I think. Move on to those that little lift element, and then get shock to lift bolt up. So you need to switch over to bolt. That's it. Oh, what's that? Oh, I see. So they finished it. And I didn't quite realise that before. So all you have to do is get them together. But to get them to get the maximum out of it, you need to collect all the different lightning bolt elements. Now our player didn't manage to do that because he got shock and bolt together before he collected them all, but by playing that more carefully you could collect all the little lightnings in that level and get a higher score and get more treasure at the end. And I'm sure that's one of the sort of challenges you have to do to complete it. Another block puzzle here. We've got Gilgrunt. Is that Gilgrunt just standing there, not sort of talking to us? It's interesting. I mean, what would happen if you were playing as Gilgrunt? Would he just talk to himself? That's quite funny. And so we're dropping these down. Now, of course, you've got jump here. So this is an area where they can use that jump to get across, where previously you wouldn't have to do that. You would have had to have a jump pod, as they had in the past. So here we are, moving on. And again, on PlayStation 4, we can see this is rendered really nicely. It almost looked like a cutscene. I think that was actually in-engine, that little flying moment. So here, our player's going to switch now. Undead. Who's undead? Oh, that's probably Rattle Shake, isn't it? Oh, no. Oh, great. Roller Brawl. So I'm glad to see Roller Brawl looking cool on PS4. The movement's really nice, and the way she moves around the level. Here we are. Here's our enemies. These little sort of... I love these little sort of bird enemies. They look a little bit like robins until they suddenly come into attack and their shields pop up and they turn into something a little bit more frightening. So as you've killed them, you gain experience and gain money that they drop, and we move on back into this lair. So we've gone back in here to collect more money. We've got some attacks here, some chompies. I love the way that chompies look so sort of outside his big mouths. It reminds me of Gru's dog in Despicable Me. It's almost the whole character is a mouth. So if you've seen that film, do let us know in the comments. And I think that sort of association does happen. I think more and more with Skylanders, you're seeing it look like a Disney sort of Pixar experience rather than anything, just a video game. And here we are, because we were playing Rollerball, we could go through the elemental gate. It was a single elemental gate, so we just needed one figure of the undead type. We have this challenge. Now in here, there's usually a hat or something to collect in these zones, and they're optional, but if you've got one of each element, all these zones you'll be able to visit in SWAT Force or just the starter pack and using your existing characters. Now it's a dead zone, it's an undead zone, so Rollerball has a power up here, and you can see each time she hits one of these characters, as well as the numbers going up, they appear in a skull. Now that means that she's getting a attack bonus. She's doing more damage to them much quicker. So if you were in here playing 2 players, maybe your second player wasn't an undead character, you wouldn't get that bonus. Now where's she going? Oh, she seems to be falling off. Is that intentional? Something hidden down there? No, so we're back in. I'm not sure, is she still in the elemental zone? Looks like she is. So we're in a sort of fire area. Now the jumping here, it's obviously a whole new part of the game they had to create. It looks like there's a little platform there to jump up on. Just not quite spotted it. And obviously it's important to get this right, that you can jump too far, that the game registers where you're trying to jump to, so you don't get stuck. So there, that was quite difficult. She just missed it. Now, my kids, I think, potentially could get a little bit frustrated about some of these jumps. So I'll be interested to see how well executed they are. That seemed to be a bit better, a bit fairer. I can see those platforms moving up and down, so it looks like there was a timing element in there. Here we are. I think this is the end of the elemental zone. What is that gate? So here we are out, so we're in scorched earth, it says, and it looks like we need to press on up these flying sort of molten platforms. So here we go. Now it seems to be saying strong here. I thought Rollerball was undead, but it's saying strong here, and it's a flame area. So I'm not quite sure if that's just a fact of this is just a demo version of the game. Oh, legendary treasure. So as you progress through the game, you collect legendary treasure, and that gives you different things you can apply to your character. So in addition to hats, these treasures give you new ways to progress in a sort of a role-play fashion. And you can see the stats pop up then. As we're carrying on back up to this gate. Now I'm not sure what we need to do. So it seems to be at the back end of the gate, and when we started, we came to this position. So I think it looks like that's as far as we're progressing for now. Perhaps it's the end of this demo here at Gamescom. So what we'll do is have a look at some of the other demos on PS4. If you want to subscribe to the channel, then when the subsequent parts of this playthrough are available, you get a little notification from us, a little email, and also like and comment. What do you think of Skylanders SWAT Force on the PS4? There's lots more to see, and we'll be back with more soon.